Okay, the original audio for this clip was lost, but this was filmed October 22nd. I was at Big Cottonwood Canyon at the Butler Fork Trailhead and just wanted to hike and show some plants now that it's finally autumn. So let's just get started and see what I found that day. One thing you might notice here is that all these Populus tremuloides or quaking aspens are leafless. Shouldn't be that surprising. This is when you'd expect it to happen. That grove in the background there still has its yellow leaves. It's yellow autumn colored leaves. That's a little shaky, sorry about that, but what's the reason for that is that these groves, for the most part, a series of different clones, and because they genetically are predisposed to lose their leaves upon the same environmental signals, whole groves at the same time will either leaf out or turn yellow and drop their leaves, or maybe turn yellowish red. You'll notice that different groves turn different colors in the autumn. Here they tend to be pretty yellow, but some places they get quite red, a really, really bright red that my camera would not be able to do justice. But that's sort of what happens, and I think it's really interesting. It's such great evidence that all these trees around us reproduce clonally for the most part. New aspen trees establish themselves occasionally, but they really do most of the reproduction through their roots. Here's another fork in the trail, or I guess the first one of the day actually. But this is where I don't know what's going with that thought, but here I'm going to go to Millie Basin this time because I took the other direction last time. I went that way, so let's go this way and see what we find. Here I've just come across my first touchable snow of the year. Granted, I could have come across some sooner, but I was busy not hiking during all that rain. Oh, it feels like snow. I don't mind snow too much, but I don't like it after like the first few months of it, honestly. So it's just an impediment to hiking and something that's cold and annoying and gets everywhere. But it's obviously very important to the environment here and the ecological processes that sustain this specific forest. The world would be kind of boring if it was only just like one big tropical rainforest or dry desert, you know? So there's a few plants here I can kind of identify in this cold. Right here, I think this is Rudbeckia occidentalis. It's got big leaves that are not growing opposite. That's sort of what the flower head looks like normally for the plant. Obviously totally dormant right now. Some other plants I can find around here are, this has got to be Agastache urticifolia. Nettleleaf giant hyssop. Sorry, some guy just hiked by me and I don't like talking in front of strangers, but I mean, it's not a big deal. I've done a few clips as people walk by me before, but I just feel weird doing it. But anyways, Agastache urticifolia, I think it's called something like the Nettleleaf giant hyssop, or yes, I don't know exactly. Who cares about common names that much? I don't mind them that much, but some are just really ridiculous. I'm not trying to copy the crime page with Botany Doesn't Guide, to be honest. It's just, they really are highly undescript at times. It's just something you come to realize if you study botany enough. This is probably a specimen of Senecio serra that is done for the year. It's a little hard to see any serrations in its leaves though, so I could be off on that one, but I don't know. It's a nice fun challenge to try and identify these plants during this time of the year. All the classic meadow ones you see. Now wrapping up. This has got to be a Polemonium foliossisimum. The fact that it's still green means it's still doing some stuff though. I doubt it will last that much longer. It's no doubt trying to send all its nutrients back to its roots so it can grow successfully during the start of the next year. But that's what plants do when they start to wrap up for the year. At least these herbaceous perennials, they once they're really done photosynthesizing, they start sending nutrients and water and whatever energy they can down to their roots before killing off the above ground portion of the plant, because if it dies before they do that, they can't save those nutrients for the next year. And so every little bit it can save up will give it an advantage when growing next year. So it's something they're all programmed to do, which I think is just kind of interesting. This actually looks like the, that's really weirdly bright. Oh crap, I can't remember what it's called for a second. Sambucus cerulea, or so you gotta be the blue elderberry. Thought this to be more red elderberry elevation, but I guess not. It's definitely got at least what looks to me like a very I can't remember what the inflorescence is called in these ones. It looks so very umbellate. And that one, the racemose, which grows higher up, the red elderberry, has more of a, as the name implies, a raceme-like inflorescence. It doesn't spread out so much. Yeah, if you guys have any interest in identifying plants that are almost completely dead or dormant for a year, this is the video for you. Just a little bit off trail. I should go off trail more often, don't you guys think? Yeah, you guys probably think it's bad when I do that. I don't know. And it'd be a real shame not to talk about this plant before moving on. This is a species of Fragaria, commonly known as strawberries. This in particular is Fragaria vesca as opposed to virginiana, which are the two species that you can find here. You can tell because on this species, the terminal tooth on the leaflets extends past the two teeth on the side, while with virginiana, it's actually the two teeth on the side that extend further out. It's a little odd looking, but I can maybe put some pictures up for you. Either way, it doesn't matter too much. They're all great to forage if you're into that, and I rarely see them. It makes me worried that they're going to disappear because they aren't reproducing right, but who knows? Maybe it's more sustainable than I think. That also may not be the best way to tell them apart, but it's the only way I know. It's a little more questionable on these smaller leaves, but I think the pattern still holds here. But anyway, let's move on now. It's nice to see a dead Salsify like Tragopogon. Was it Parsnipflower? The most common variety here. Just uprooted on the trail. Such an annoying invasive plant. So I'm glad people are getting wise to it, because I didn't pull that one up actually. Seems someone cut or pulled this thing as well. So maybe there's a hope for the people in the state of Utah as well, because I don't have a lot of faith in this state all the time, you know? It's a good state with some cool people, but I feel like there's not a lot of environmental consciousness around here all the time. So, especially when it comes to more niche ecological things like this, you know, people realizing that some weeds, or some plants are weeds, I should say. I mean, it's a beautiful state, but I mean, I think everyone should be more environmentally conscious anyways. So it's a little cool, I think. I'm actually higher up in elevation now, and I'm seeing some Gambel Oak for the first time, the Quercus gambelii, which I talk about way too much. But it just really shocked me that I'd find it up here. Look how beautiful the red, orangey foliage is right now this time of year. Crazy thing, that's just Gambel Oak. Actually, is it, or is it? No, that's Gambel Oak, all right. Look at this. I thought it might be maples for a second, but it's definitely Gambel Oak. Anyways, get a nice view across here and see some different plant communities. See some like leafless aspen forest with the tall, straight trunks. And then right there is more of a mountain brushy kind of habitat with, I think, some leafless maples. Then you go up high enough, right above our green, it's a little hard to see, is like really, really mountain brushy. Lots of Cercocarpus lettifolius there, which I think it's an evergreen, I can't remember, but nice tough plant that grows in really exposed places like that. Mountainside would no doubt be. Even though it's typically associated with warmer places, the fact that it's growing up at higher elevations does not actually betray that aspect of its biology, because of how exposed it is. It likely is warmer for the most part than lower down forests like that aspen one down there. So, oh, there's another good one up there actually. Be fun to go off trail in someday, but it might have to be a few years since I'll probably be in Australia for a whole year. Actually, I'm definitely going to do that at least a year, but either way, what that's all about is, I don't know, I just want to explore some more forests and visit some relatives that live there. We're getting kind of old. For more channel news, if you wanted to see that Ericameria nauseosa species profile, that is unfortunately not going to happen because it's just too late. They're all not blooming anymore. Maybe I could find a couple that are blooming, but it was just not meant to be. My foot was really hurting, and I've actually been going to the doctor to check it out because it was really bad, but it thankfully recovered on its own. But it did make hiking a little difficult earlier this month. If I could always find a few specimens that weren't a ways down some trail, I decided to just take it easy, and I think it was the right decision. But you're gonna have to wait a couple years for that video too, if you're really interested in it. I got some woods rose, no doubt. The Rosa woodsii. those big hips. Well, they're not that big, but relatively big. Sorry, not Rosa woodsii, it's Rosa nootkana, my bad. That's the one that produces the larger hips. And they're born singly for the most part, which these ones kind of are. Or are they born singly? I can't even remember right now. Wow. Oh, look out there, you can see some red aspen trees. Some aspen trees that have turned red, like I mentioned earlier. So beautiful. Hope you guys are okay with videos like this where there's not that much living plants, because this is what the rest of them for the year are for the most part going to be like. Certainly until like March, I think, because it's a simple fact that I was too productive this year. Like like in 2024, I made less videos, but I was even lazier with my editing, so I had a lot of extra content by the time autumn rolled around, because I was only uploading like once every 2 weeks, if that. I had content to use for the whole entire year. In fact, I had a little bit extra when spring started, but as you guys probably saw if you were following my channel at all, I was very productive and uploaded a lot of stuff very quickly. So, I mean, I'm left with just making stuff like this. I have a few other leftover videos I might be able to, or video concepts I might be able to use the footage from for the winter, but it may not be very much. And I doubt I'm going to be traveling anywhere until I go to Australia, but we'll see. You never know. And maybe my content will be better than I'm leading on, but just, guys, I hope you're okay with that. So beautiful. Look at that deer down there. I think that my camera noises were irritating him. He's like looking around. I think he hears my voice too. There, I'm not going to go down and bother it because it's just run off if I did anyways. Here's the situation. Got a very sort of dry microsite here, as we can tell. I mean, if you have any sense, you might be able to tell because we got some sagebrush, the Artemisia tridentata, likely the subalpine or alpine variety or subspecies. There's a few different subspecies of Artemisia tridentata, and they can sometimes be a little difficult to tell apart if you're not so great a botanist like myself sometimes. But anyways, got this Eriogonum who very embarrassingly, I can't remember. It's not Eriogonum umbulatum, which is or umbellifera, which is the sulfur buckwheat, but it's a different one. I can't remember. Very common around here. And Eriogonum's another thing I really gotta jump into because it's one of the largest genera in the western United States. Like, I think actually, after penstemon, it's the largest genus of plants that is found entirely in like North America. So I'm talking about genera specifically entirely endemic, because Astragalus has more species in the United States and North America in general, but it's also found in the old world. My God, I can barely talk because it's so cold. The old world. It's not actually that cold, but my jaw really freezes up when it gets cold, and I really struggle to talk. It's just like, I can barely move my jaw right now, but it actually feels very nice. Might be wrapping up my video soon because I don't know what else to talk about, but I guess look at these nice sagebrush. The nice Berberis repens, formerly Mahonia repens, the creeping Oregon grape. Plant I think should definitely be used in cultivation a lot more, just like as an ornamental, you know. Dang, I hope this video isn't too long already, because it might be just a big bunch of nothing when I actually try and make it and put it together. Oh, ain't that an incredible view? I'm actually going to turn back around now because I'm not going to see much else, right? Maybe on the way down I'll spot some things I didn't get to talk about yet.